In this video, I'm going to go over how to find the derivative of three different functions using the definition of the derivative. Here's our first problem. Let's use the definition of derivative to find the derivative of this function. First thing we need to do is find f of x plus h. In order to find f of x plus h, you just replace x with x plus h everywhere you see an x. So first, let's simplify f of x plus h before we plug it into the formula. So first we're going to FOIL x plus h squared. So FOIL is first, x times x is x squared. Outer, x times h is hx. Inner, h times x is hx. Last, h times h is h squared. Simplifying, we get this. Let's plug that in here. Now let's multiply the negative 5 through the parentheses. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. Negative 5 times h is negative 5h. Multiplying 3 through the parentheses, we get 3 times x squared is 3x squared. 3 times 2hx is 6hx. 3 times h squared is 3h squared minus 5x minus 5h. All right, so now we can plug in this for f of x plus h. From that, we subtract f of x minus, and I'm going to put that f of x in parentheses since we're subtracting the whole thing, all over h. Simplifying the numerator, we get this, multiplying that negative through the 3x squared minus 5x, and we get the 3x squared and the 5x's to cancel. Simplifying a little bit, we get this. Now let's factor an h out of the top. Now we can cancel the h's. Simplifying some more, we get this. Now we can plug in 0 for h. So this whole term here is going to go to 0, and we get the derivative to be 6x minus 5. Here's our next problem. We're going to use the definition of the derivative to find the derivative of this function. So again, we need to find f of x plus h. So everywhere you see an x, you're going to plug in x plus h. So again, let's simplify f of x plus h before plugging it into the definition of derivative. In problem 1, we actually found x plus h squared to be this. So I'll save a little bit of time and won't go through that again. Let's plug into the formula. We just found f of x plus h to be this. From that, we're going to subtract f of x, which is 1 over x squared. It's all divided by h. Dividing by h is the same thing as multiplying by 1 over h. From here, let's get a common denominator within the brackets. So we're going to multiply the first fraction by x squared over x squared. The second fraction we're going to multiply by this. Now that they have a common denominator, let's just write both of them over one denominator. I put the numerator for the second fraction in parentheses because we're subtracting the whole numerator. After multiplying the negative through the parentheses and the x squared through the parentheses in the denominator, we get this. The x squareds cancel. Simplifying, we get this. Factoring an h out of the numerator, our h's cancel. Now we can plug in 0 for all the h terms. So these are all going to 0. So then our limit simplifies to that. One of the x's cancels out, and you just have negative 2 over x cubed. Here's our last problem. So again, we're going to use the definition to find the derivative of this function. We need to find f of x plus h first. So again, everywhere you see an x, you're going to plug in x plus h. So now let's plug into the formula. F of x plus h is this, minus f of x, which is square root of x minus 5. Now if you plug in 0 for h, in this equation, you're going to end up with an indeterminate form of 0 over 0. So we need to do something further from here. If you multiply by the conjugate of the numerator, which is just changing the sign of the negative to a positive, everything else is remaining the same. we can simplify this further. By multiplying by the conjugate, we actually have a minus b times a plus b. So when you multiply those together, it's going to be in this form, a squared minus b squared. So you can just multiply this by this, then minus that times that. So multiplying a times a is just going to undo the square root. X plus h minus 5, and we have minus, and make sure and put the second one in parentheses there because you're subtracting the whole thing. B times b is going to undo the square root for that one. We're just going to have x minus 5. Multiplying the negative through the parentheses gives us this, and then we can get the x's and the 5's to cancel. So if you simplify, we get this. Now we can cancel these h's. After canceling the h's, we get this. Now let's plug in 0 for h, which gives us this, which simplifies to this.